afternoon, or good evening even. I'm just waiting a couple of minutes for my time slot to begin. So this will be a brief introduction into sound, and then I will hold a sound bath, or a sample sound bath really, for about 20 minutes. So I suggest, if you're not already, just get yourself comfy. Not so much for the talk part, obviously, but for the next part. And maybe if you have headphones, they can be a really nice way to listen to a sound bath, or a Bluetooth speaker. You will get sound from a phone or a laptop, whatever you're listening on, but just to have that kind of surround sound sensation is really good. I'd like to hope you're sitting out in a sunny area somewhere. I don't need to tell you to get a blanket to keep yourself snug and warm. I'll just push the camera back just a smidge so you can see. Can't really see any more of that, really, can you? My disclaimer is, I'm not a videographer. I'm a holistic therapist. Which, needless to say, I don't have all the gadgetry all right and aligned properly. But I sincerely hope the sound is good. Just double check that actually now that I think of it. Back. Yep. So for anybody who may have just joined, and there's a couple of people flicking in and out there, this will be a brief introduction, something like what I would do at the beginning of my sound bath, which would be just a brief little run through of what sound can be like for people. There's no hard and fast rule, and then I'm going to do about a 20-minute sound bath. So just to make yourselves comfortable, and I would suggest perhaps if you have headphones to hand or a Bluetooth speaker or something. Now, sound is on some phones and some laptops is amazing, but it would be just a suggestion. It enhances it slightly. So I'm just going to wait just 3 more minutes. Don't worry, I'm not reading the time from a sundial. I actually have a clock here in front of me. So I'm due to start at 6:10. So I hope wherever you are, you have been enjoying the day. It's really rather splendid out there. I think I might have gained a couple of extra freckles today, alone. And I wasn't out very long. You know you're in an Irish kind of sunny summer day when it's warmer outside than it is inside. So for anybody who's joining, I am based in Gort town in Galway. I got a lovely message from a lady who's based in Cork earlier on today. Lovely email from her to say she enjoyed the morning. So I hope you're getting to find something interesting for you to look at for the whole of the day and tomorrow. There's quite an array. I must go back to looking at the one on crystals. Oh, hi Alison. You're outside in the sun, I hope. Yeah, I have done a couple of videos I did last year actually, in the first great pause, as I affectionately heard it called, and I recorded them outside, So I did a couple of meditations incorporating a bit of sound. You'll find them on my YouTube channel. Says she, YouTube channel. I don't know how many videos are up there, but there's a few different ones. But there's and the birds are there. I love that combination of nature. It's really nice. And I have other ones on kombucha and other DIY things you can make, and it's great. So yeah, if you are outside, you get the blessings of listening to the birds. Maybe put in one headphone to get the sound in one ear and the birds in the other. It's not wholly forgotten, in case they come along flying past and poop in your head because you're ignoring them. But it is beautiful out there. So I'd like to hope you don't need a blanket wherever you are, that the sun is providing that warmth. Doesn't it lift the spirits? A drop of sunshine. Hopefully I'll get to see some of it tomorrow. Oh, thanks Alison. My YouTube stuff is raw, I would say. I will give my disclaimer now at the beginning is I am a holistic therapist. I am not a photographer nor a videographer. I don't even know if videographer is a word. Videographer, actually. So anything you watch on YouTube is as it is. I usually did it in one take, and yeah, but I had fun doing it. There's something about a nice sense of realism, I think. I'd like to think it resonates with some people. Not everybody, but some people. So yeah, I did a whole bunch of stuff last year, which is great crack. Really enjoyed it actually. Learned a heap as well, which is good. Okay, so it's just gone 6:10, so I think we shall begin to just be very respectful of those of you who have turned up early or on time. So I am Fiona Mcdonough. I am a holistic therapist practicing acupuncture, craniosacral and sound therapy in the west of Ireland. I am based in the lovely town of Gort, County Galway. So we have here some of my sound babies. You can see partially my gong here. I'll hold things up anyway so you can see them. So I hold sound baths, not at the moment obviously, but I did the last ones I would have publicly held would have been back in December, which was lovely. So my babies are still all, as I call them, these are my family, my other babies. I have two-legged babies and I have these ones. So yeah, I have them in my clinic space, which is wonderful. So a sound bath, I don't know if anybody's ever been to one. The very first sound bath I went to was about 10 years ago now. And I asked the very innocent question of, what do I wear in this bath? Only to be kind of guffawed at and told, no, Fiona, you're lying down along with everybody else and you're bathed in the sounds of these instruments. So if you weren't familiar with what a sound bath is, and I've explained this to a lot of people actually, because I too did not know what a sound bath was. So when you're bathed in the sounds of these instruments, what they help to do is induce your theta brainwave. So it's said that Tibetan singing bowls, I have a number of chimes and the gongs in particular and the Tibetan singing bowls, when they are played, they resonate at the equivalent of our theta brainwave. So our theta brainwave is the brainwave you would be in if you practice regular meditation, or you do a repetitive knitting, repetitive practice, sort of like knitting or crochet, if it comes easily to you. Now I probably wouldn't be in theta when knitting because it's not exactly something that flows easily for me. So it depends on what it is for you. Or you might remember years ago those colouring books came out. So colouring is a place where people would enter the meditative state, if of course it appeals to you. If it ain't your cup of tea, it isn't going to feel like that for you. But one place a lot of people are familiar with it is if you drive, is when you're driving down the road and you've gone further than you realise you have. If you're practiced at driving, it almost becomes like a second nature. I'm driving probably about 17 years and I can remember when I first started driving how nervous I was and how aware I had to be all the time where I was and what gear I was in and what gear to be in when I stopped at traffic lights. But now I know that I too can practice that experience. Motorway hypnosis is what they call it. So if you've ever experienced it, you have actually been in the meditative state in your theta brainwave, probably completely and utterly unconsciously, which is lovely, but maybe not something you want to put on your insurance. So when you come to a sound bath, as I said, you're bathed in the sounds of these instruments, and what they do is they induce that theta in your body, and it's the whole of your body. Theta would be not exactly, but more or less kind of the middle brainwave. So for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, when we get up in the morning, we're in alpha. And then when you go into deep, deep sleep, you're in delta or gamma. Okay? So theta is somewhere in between those. That's why to come to a sound bath is what they call a very passive form of meditation. So bar showing up, you don't really have anything to do, which is the most wonderful thing. I think I would kind of nickname it lazy person's meditation. And I have to say, my very first experience was an amazingly intense experience. Not negative, just very strong, I suppose you could say, or an intense experience. I was lying on the floor in amongst a group of about 80 odd people. I was in a giant tent. The woman was standing about 20 feet away from me. I had no idea, as I said, what to expect. I hadn't a clue what a sound bath was. I thought I was getting into something with liquid. This lady started her sound bath. Sorry, I changed my seating here. And she started playing her instruments. I can't even remember which ones now. And I was lying, and my experience was that I felt like as if somebody dropped pebbles in the chakras of my body. And at that time, would have to say chakras was a kind of a new thing to me. Anyway, it just felt like, if you've ever dropped a pebble in water and you have the rings around it and they're moving out, that's what it felt like physically in my body. And I opened my eyes and thought, okay, that's a bit interesting, it's a bit odd. Now, for some people, that might be an intense feeling that they go, whoa, what was that? Whereas I kind of went, okay, what was that? Closed my eyes. A few minutes later, basically the same thing happened, higher up in my body. And I just was, oh my God, I don't know what the woman did, but I like it. And that was at the beginning. And I'd say it went on for about an hour and a half. And by the time I was finished, I had absolutely fallen in love with what sound baths and the way it could make me feel. So it's a very subjective thing. I would always tell people that when they attend a sound bath, it meets you wherever you are. And that can sound a little bit faffy. What does that mean? So say you come through the door and you're in a really good place for whatever, you've just had a really nice day, you've taken your time to get there, no rushing, no nothing, and you're in a really good place. It can be one way for you. Say you come in the door, so I'm looking physically at the door, and you come in the door and the next week and, I don't know, the cat got lost or something, happened before you left home, so you're in a rush and a tizzy and whatever else. And so that sound bath may feel a bit different. So we are always a little bit of a different version of ourselves. Your skin sheds and your hair, you lose hair every single day. So every cell of our body rejuvenates over about a period of 7 years, they reckon. So we're always a different version of ourselves. Isn't that wonderful? Every week we're always slightly different. So a sound bath can feel a little bit different every week. But some people have a kind of a similar experience. So some people come to a sound bath and they fall fast asleep for the whole thing. There's a couple of people I can think of that, and you kind of go, wow, they just come here to fall asleep. But they feel it's a different sleep and they feel very different afterwards. And some people come, one lovely lady, and she came, one of the last times she came, she said, I don't know where I went, but I went on a kind of a journey and I was a turtle deep under the sea. And I thought, wow. Some people come and they have a very physical kind of reaction to it. Legs might twitch, arms might go. It's like their body is restlessly shaking things out. Some people come and they might have an emotional release, and I've had that as well. So it can be very varied and very different. I suppose most people, probably about 95, maybe even 97% of people would say that they sleep really, really well after a sound bath. There are the odd person that might feel a little restless, but that maybe is something in their system that needs to be released and let go. It doesn't put them off coming though, because they really enjoy it. So I suppose, and that's all. So within that, then there is no good and there is no bad, there is no right and there is no wrong. There just is as it is. So it really is one of those things, a bit like I was saying about cupping earlier on in my other video, was experience is the best explanation. And maybe if you're around Galway and the gods of the great pauses are good to us, they will allow me to rehold them again. So what I was thinking of doing was I'd just show you a couple of instruments before I go to playing for about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is introduce you to the first instrument anyway, which will be the beginning and end of the sound bath. So you'll know then when it's over. Then I won't basically I won't keep gabbing on. You know, when it starts, I won't keep gabbing on either. So these are called Chinese cymbals, or Tim Shaws. They have a lovely, lovely resonance, and they're tuned to different keys. Yeah, they sing rather beautifully. So I usually start and end a sound bath with those. And just what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say there. I can't think what it was now. Anyway, so there's no set piece. That's what I was going to say. I don't have a set piece about. I don't have a sheet, and I'm going to play this, this, and this, and this. It just comes and it flows as it is. It's never exactly the same. There's a couple of similarities, but it's never exactly the same. I would always start on a C as opposed to a B. B is the higher note for the crown chakra. And just in case, you just never know what's going on with people. So I always start with C because it's quite grounding. So I'll just show you my C bow. And then these are most of my bows, not all of them, but most of my bows are handmade. And maybe you can see there's little hammer marks on there. You can see the way the light catches it slightly. See the way there's lots of little hammer marks on there. And you can see on the inside, see that one's got a bit of brass and there's a bit of copper in it. There's a kind of a greeny tinge, you can just see there. Okay, they're also quite heavy to hold up like that for a while. It's good weightlifting carrying all this stuff around. So when they're made, this would be a blended disc, like a dinner plate, and it's relatively flat. So one person, when they're handmade, one person holds it with pinchers like this, and the disc, the plate as such, goes in between, and he turns it and turns it over a plinth. And he keeps turning it, and a couple of other guys, 2 or 3 of them, hammer away to make the shape. And they just keep turning it and turning it and turning it until the bowl is that shape. You can actually catch some YouTube videos. I think they're called Singing Bowl Village. And you'll see it. And it actually sounds like they're playing them. It's pretty amazing. And the bowl decides what note it is. So they don't say, today we are going to make 5 C's and 6 D's or whatever else. The bowl is made and the bowl decides what note it is, which is pretty amazing. So the gongs then are slightly different. You can see I have 2 rather large ones. I'm just going to push that around a little bit. She said hopefully. So that's a symphonic and that is Mercury. So they are, these are pasty gongs. And this gong here is a wind gong, and that's, as you can see, there's a slight little incline in it. The wind gong is a Chinese kind of design. Pasties turn back slightly, so they've got this lip that goes behind. So these are quite engineered, you could say. A master gong maker uses something like 13.5 hammers to make them. They're full of this same kind of little hammer marks on the back. So a master gong maker makes them, and they're very much tuned to a certain note, and they make a whole range of those. So this is a symphonic, and the symphonic was the first gong that they made, and it dates about 100 years ago now, a little bit over 100 years actually. And the reason it's called for symphonic, it was made for a symphony, the first one, and then they went on to make a bunch of other ones, and this one then is a planetary one, but they do have a whole range of them now. And they're based in Germany. You can't buy directly from them, I don't think. I bought one from Dublin and one from the UK. And then this is a chime, and this chime is the frequency of this one is 528 megahertz. So this one is tuned to the heart, and also it's supposedly helpful with restructuring DNA, and I'm all for anything that's helpful. So I'll just give you a little demonstration of this one. They're all quite mesmerising, I find. I don't know, I kind of fall into the tune, you know, I kind of forget what I'm at sometimes. And then I've got a set of 11, but I'm just going to show you 2 of them. And these are solid chimes. So slightly different. The other one is hollow. So these are what they call energy bar chimes. These are linked to the planets and sun and the moon and earth. So depending on what's going on, I might bring different ones with me. Yeah, I have about 11 of those ones. And then this is a slightly different one. So this is a chime. Can't quite see in it. But this is called a koshi. And these are available actually in the World Music Store. A lovely place in Dublin. They do postage as well. Two lovely brothers that run it. So this one is, it's green on the centre of the O, so that means it's lined to wood. So there you got the name, koshi. They're lovely, 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 lovely. I just wouldn't suggest leaving it outside in Ireland. Always makes me think of little fairies dancing around the place. And then we've got a shruti box. This is like a bellows. A harmonium would be based on this. These instruments are quite old actually. Perfected now around in India. Mine came from India, but would have actually come from the Middle East, as did the original gongs actually. And gongs went off and were perfected in China. So I'll give you a little demo of this one. So it's got a bellows in it. You can see there, works a little like an accordion, if you're familiar with that. Keys on the front, which can be changed, and would often be associated with kirtan chanting, if you're familiar with that, which is something I really like. I was told years ago I couldn't sing, but by the hokey can I chant to save my life? Yes, I can. So another one I've got here is, this is an ocean drum. Yeah, does what it says on the tin, really, or sounds like it says on the tin. I'm going to give it a demo. Maybe that's a cruel thing to do on a sunny day and make you want to go to the beach. So this is like a double-walled skinned drum. There's varying styles. My one has little wee pebbles inside it, little tiny little stones, almost like little bits of gravel. And then I have a small, this is a small tongue drum, tongue based on the one in your mouth. You can play it with the finger. So intuitive play, or they do come with a little set of rubber mallets, so you'll hear it in a few minutes when I'm playing it. Okay, so I think I've kind of gone through all of them, and I have a couple of crystal bowls and that, but yeah, I didn't bring them along today, or I don't have them. They're cuddled away to keep them safe, partially from me as well as anybody else. So what I'm going to do is give you a short kind of 20-minute demo of a sound bath. Usually when I play them, I do them for an hour, give or take. The whole thing is an hour and a half, but I do a shorter version of that introduction for probably about 10 minutes, particularly because I personally find that, not that I'm saying that the lady didn't give me an introduction to what it could be like, but I find it's really helpful for people if you let them know what it can be like, and that there's a wide range of feelings within that. I find it really helps people to settle, and they enjoy it more, rather than going, is this normal, or is that normal, or is that wrong, or is that right, or should I be feeling this? And that's just a personal take on it. And then, yeah, I play it for about 90 minutes. So they say the optimum time is about 45. Again, on my YouTube channel, I sound very, very great to say that you have a YouTube channel. I do have one on there. I'm not quite sure how long it is, and there's one with breathwork as well. But on my website actually, which is lawofclinic.ie, I do have a sound bath recording, which I did professionally with a lovely gentleman in his redone up cowshed, turned into a recording music studio. So without further ado, we shall begin. I'm just going to take a little sip of water here. So I will begin, as I said, with the tinshaws, and I will end with the tinshaws. So I suggest you wiggle around yourself, get yourself nice and comfy and cosy, and just lie back and listen, because at some point I will actually be turning my back, so forgive my rudeness. But to play the gongs, it's kind of difficult to do with your elbows bent. So just taking a couple of deep breaths. Take a nice deep breath in. And just letting it go. Taking another nice deep breath in. Just slowly letting it go. And one more time. And just letting it go. you.